If you struggle with understanding the MVC pattern and implementing it in Spring Boot, this video is for you because I'm going to explain to you exactly what MVC is and how to implement it in Spring Boot. As I said, we are going to start with some theory about MVC, and then I'm going to jump to IntelliJ and show you how to implement it. So what is MVC then? MVC stands for three parts: model, view, and controller. We divide our application into three parts, complying with the single responsibility principle. First one is view, that is responsible for the user interface. It renders the HTML and responds to the user interaction. Next, we have the controller that coordinates between view and the model. And the last is the model that handles the data and the business logic for the data. MVC is used in the most major web frameworks like, of course, Spring Boot, but also .NET, Laravel, and Ruby on Rails. But in modern applications, we often see the view layer implemented as a separate application using modern JavaScript frameworks like Angular, React, or Vue, while the Spring Boot handles the model and the controller backend. The most common combination in enterprise is Angular and Spring Boot. Still, the core idea of MVC remains the same. Keep the responsibilities separated, making our application easier to maintain and test. So we are going to create new project using the Spring Initializer. I'm going to use Maven, Java, Spring Boot version 3.5.3. This I will leave the same, and the packaging jar and Java. And I also added here dependency Spring Web Starter. Now I'm going to click Generate, and I already have this project opened in my favorite IDE, which is IntelliJ, but you can use whatever IDE you want, for example, Visual Studio Code, Eclipse, or Neovim. So we are going to start with creating two new packages. First will be model and also package for controller. Okay. We already have a folder for the view, which is in resource and templates. Here we put our views. So now that we have the packages, I'm going to create some model. For the purpose of this video, I will create some example user model. So let's do this. New class user. I'm going to put here a private long ID and private string username. Okay. I also am going to generate constructor and getters and setters for this class. Okay, now that we have our model ready, we can create our controller. And typically, you create controller when naming this controller, you combine the name of the model and append it with the controller. So I'm going to create user controller. Okay, and to register for this class as controller for Spring Boot, we need to annotate it with the controller annotation. Now I'm going to create our first endpoint, which will be public string list users. Okay, and this will return string users. This string is the name of the template, of the view template that we are going to use. But for now, we haven't registered this as a controller endpoint, so we need to add some mapping. Because list of users would be result of some GET request, I'm going to use GET mapping, and I'm going to add URI users. Okay, as we can see, cannot resolve the MVC view for users because we haven't created it. So now it's time to create a users template. I'm going to create new HTML file, users. Okay, and I'm for now going to only change here the title and add some title here. And now if we go to the controller, we see that this is gone. So let's run our application. Okay. And okay. Let's go to localhost and we get our view. But how to actually get the data to the view and dynamically generate the HTML with our users' data? Spring Boot uses a template language called Timeleaf. To use it in our application, we need to add, first of all, link to it in the in our HTML, but also we need to add dependency called Spring Boot starter Timeleaf. So we can copy this, or if you are in Gradle, search in the Maven repository for this dependency. Okay, now that we did that, I would also like to refresh our POM.xml, but I think it's already refreshed automatically. So that's okay. Now we can go back to our controller, and we are going to pass model here, model, and it's the model from the Spring Framework UI. Okay, and to add our users to our view, I'm going to create some list of users. Users, list of users, and we can allow Copilot to generate some users. Okay, we also need to import the user, not users, but user, of course. And now import the user. Yes. And now to our model, we add attributes. We're going to call it users and user. But I think we imported wrong model here. Logback, not this one, but import this one. Nice. Now this is working. We can run our application and see if there are any errors. But everything is fine. But we still haven't got anything here because we need now to use the Timeleaf syntax in our view. So let's add some example table. Thread, okay, tier, and th, for example, ID, and some username. Okay, and in our t-body, we will use the Timeleaf syntax. And this is how we do it, basically. And let's now run our application. And we will see that we get our users. Same as we did here. We have user 1, user 2, and user 3. And we pass the data to our view. If you want to dive deeper into the Spring Boot world, check out my school community, top link in the description. Here is my last video about the Spring Boot validation. Until the next time, create some amazing applications.